I'm Tim Hooper.
And I'm Mike Gandolfo.
And this is The Trust Factor,
where high touch
plus high tech
multiplied by high trust
equals the real estate professional's formula for success.
All right, welcome to our very first live of The Trust Factor. We started this project, Tim, just a couple of weeks ago. Getting our groove. The whole idea here is that I'm coming from the real estate agent perspective, and you're coming from the title, lender perspective. We're helping elevate the industry, helping people to just have really good high touch strategies and systems, partner them with high tech strategies and systems, build an amazing amount of trust with your clients, and just know that that's the winning factor. This is how you compete with the big machine out there that's trying to get them on this platform of ease, which is going on out there right now. How are you doing today? How are you doing this Saturday morning?
Man, I'm good. Welcome to the Saturday cartoon, the new cartoons. If you caught our little blip about this being our first live, Mike mentioned, remember when we were kids, we watched cartoons like this.
What was your go-to, by the way? What was the go-to cartoon?
Well,
we didn't
watch TV. Like, TV
that's right.
was
You
evil,
didn't have TV.
But as we got older, and as I there were times we snuck TV.
Okay.
But I think the go-to, when I went to my friend's house, Garfield. Like, okay. I loved watching Garfield. I know it's more of that dry side. I think I have more of a dry sense of humor. But Garfield was there, and then Chippendale. Like, we got a hold of an
Rescue Rangers,
old VHS Chippendale. What about you, Mike? What were yours?
Man, I don't know. Like, I definitely watched that one, and watched G.I. Joe and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm just barely enough older than you, than like where some of the stuff you watched. Like, you were probably your generation, I should say, because again, I knew you grew up with not a lot of TV. Like, we were old school, like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where you all kind of got like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was like just before the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Transformers were a big one for me. Like, that was the new thing. So the Transformers was up there as one, as like the can't miss Saturday morning kind of cartoon. Yeah. So it's good stuff. Well, we want to make this cannot miss Saturday mornings once a month. The Transformers.
That's actually perfect. I mean, you kind of have to be a little Ninja Turtle every now and then in real estate. But we're talking about changing the algorithm. In fact, Mike, when I first heard you on stage, we were doing an event together. It's how we met. And then rewind the clock. One of our good partners, Valerie, had actually connected us 3 years earlier. But we connected because you were on stage talking about how many real estate agents and how many mortgage professionals and even title folks would share this complaint with you. Oh, the big box, the big national company, they're taking my business. And you said on stage that what they don't have is trust and that local presence and knowledge. And you said trust is your new advantage, which is not new at all. It's always been
that way.
People buy from who they like, know, see, and trust. And I would dare say trust outweighs all of the other three. They have to like you, they have to know you, they have to see you to know you exist and all that. So that's what this show is about. How do you touch more effectively? How can you use technology to amplify the message? But if you do touch in tech and mistrust, you're out. And so we believe it's the formula. It's why it's the 3X. So 3 multiplier, the high tech, high touch, high trust. So
Angela's watching us on Facebook right now, and she says that Mighty Mouse is her favorite. So she just dated herself.
All right.
But this is how this works. Like, the reason why we want to do these lives is because you all can leave comments and you can ask questions. And let us know what challenges are you having in your business. Where do you want to learn how to use technology better, or do you have a high touch need that you want to do better? This is our way to interact with the audience and just give you guys exactly what you need. I mean, we have a loose agenda I guess, for today, but this is about you, the viewer, and making sure that you get what you need out of this. So drop a comment in the on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever you're watching, so that we can make sure that we deliver for you and give you exactly what you need. And we'd love to know what your favorite Saturday morning cartoon was.
Yes. Drop your favorite cartoon. And as we get going, I do have a question. Somebody already texted me.
Okay.
And I get asked this all the time as I'm doing these trainings. And Mike, the big news out there right now is AI. And is AI going to take my job? And we've answered a lot of those. But here's what I'm getting right now is there's so much on AI. I feel like there's so much good, and I'm a little overwhelmed that I'm getting this. Like, where, as a real estate professional, where do I start? Where do I start? So I'm gonna pose that one to you, just kind of right off the bat here, as we let some of the others get going here. Where do I start with AI?
Well, so I always talk about this in sense of like when I was a kid and playing video games, right? So like you and I are of the age where, well, more probably me than you, but like I remember the Atari coming out in the early 80s and going to the Commodore 64 and whatever else. And where I'm going to go with this is like when I was in high school was the very first John Madden football game. Right. So the very first John Madden football game comes out and you're buying it every year and you're getting better as the game evolves. You're evolving with the gameplay because you're able to kind of just go from step to step to step. Well, I mean, at a certain point, I probably stopped buying the new Madden football game. And then maybe 10 years or so go by and I try to play Madden again. And the controls have just been, they're completely different now, or it's way more complex and complicated. But I can still kind of play, but then I don't play again for another 5 years. And now it's like, I don't even know what to do with this thing. So my encouragement with AI is to don't let that chain of command go by. Like just start using it every day. And by just interacting with the AI, you're going to learn more and more ways for you to be able to utilize it and go deeper. I mean, I think for me, for example, like I start, I'm actually really enjoying right now how it's helping me with my health. I've developed a little I use Perplexity and I use Google Gemini. You're big on ChatGPT.
Yep.
And I also use Notebook LM. I should also put it out there as well. I got a Google Gym set up as my like health coach, like helping me meal plan and making sure that I'm doing exactly what I need. It checks in with me on a day-to-day basis. I've got I just started basically like asking for recipes and how can I make this healthier and getting some perspective there, right? So it can do that for pretty much any aspect of your business. What about you, Tim? I just think you just got to start using it, right?
That's the big thing is what I challenge people, especially after a training, and I do this AI powered sales and marketing, AI powered content and brand voice, and then I do an AI powered workflows. So kind of a 3-part. It could be an all-day training. Some teams bring us in all day, and we really dig deep. It gives us the chance to build some workflows into a ChatGPT or Google Gemini. But I ask real estate professionals, what's one big bottleneck for you right now? What's the thing you need to do? You're not. It's just kind of the start of it is too daunting, and they'll tell me. And I'll just grab their phone with them and we'll go to ChatGPT. I'll just hit their microphone button, just boom. I'm like, all right, I'm here with Mike. And Mike wants to do a better job at touching his database every day. A couple of people in his database a day. So what we're going to do is, all right, what CRM do you have? And then they share. I'm like, okay, Mike has Surefire CRM. Okay, cool. So can you export all your contacts out of Surefire? Yeah, I can dump them into an Excel. Perfect. So Mike's going to dump all of his contacts out of Surefire into an Excel. Now, you're not going to upload all of the emails. I think they're going to, aggregate all the stuff, but we're going to always remember AI is we don't trust it, but we verify. Trust but verify. We don't trust AI, but we verify. But I'm not going to upload a bunch of emails. I'm just going to upload first names. And then I'm going to we're going to upload all the first names. Mike's going to have his Excel list as a cheat sheet, but every morning you're going to generate 5 personalized empathetic messages from a real estate's perspective that he could just take as a starting point, but every day you're going to shoot those out to him proactively. So now, Mike, is that good? Oh, Monday through Friday. Right? And so we just build right there in a microphone, one workflow, because he said that, oh, I'm not doing a great job touching my database. I'm like, boom. So right there, there's one workflow that you can build. And then now you could be, hey, what are some creative ways to touch my data? You could just keep iterating, building out. So like you, health, right? You might say, I want to start running. Instead of going to Google and looking for a marathon and then like texting a buddy and saying like, I want to do. Now you should still go look for the marathon, text the buddy. But if you start in AI, you can kind of consolidate that thread of, I want to run a marathon in 2026. Like, how would I get started? I've never done it before, blah, 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 blah. But I always say go human with it as well, because you need to get it out of your own head, and AI is not human. But start using it for one workflow is where I would go with that question. So
I 100% agree on that. And the other thing that I've actually been able to use AI recently to help me out is it really has helped me create better spreadsheets. Okay. So as a broker, so I'm now talking to those broker leaders out there. Like, I've been able to create some spreadsheets inside Google Sheets that I am technically not able to do, which allows for me to get basically a health report on each one of my agents and get an idea of where they're at, so I can understand where I can train them a little bit better, where they need some personal attention, where the disconnect might be occurring. And I just like, you can go into Gemini or whatever you're using and say, hey, I want a spreadsheet that does this. And then it can go even a step further and almost have like an interface. So like, I'm using it even in agent recruiting. I'll sit down and I've got this platform where I basically sit with the agent in front of me and be like, how important are these 4 things? Because I think in real estate and the realtor side, you get into this business because you want one of these 4 things. You want freedom. You want earning potential, right? We know that only 31% of realtors have a bachelor's degree. So this is a potentially a very lucrative job for someone who doesn't have the educational background. So freedom, earning potential. They want to have an impact on the people that they serve, or they want autonomy. And people say, well, Mike, what's the difference between freedom and autonomy? Well, freedom, and I always go back to Shawshank Redemption because I love that movie. Andy gets freedom from prison. He was getting freedom from something, whether it's debt or whatever else. But Andy breaks out of prison, gets freedom from prison, and goes towards Zihuatanejo, goes towards that beach on the Pacific. Autonomy is going towards something. Freedom is going from is freedom from something. And I just really think that I really don't know where I was going. So the AI product I put together was this like little dashboard, and they can rank them basically live in person on what's the most important to them. And then ask them a couple other questions, and then boom, it spits out, here's the winning path for you in real estate. And this is what's important to you. This is how you should be structuring your business. And we can have a conversation based off what their responses were there and in person. And, it's really incredible, some of the things that we can do with AI just to put up helpful little gadgets along the way. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying uncovering more and more. I love to hear from our people too, like where they are seeing the most benefit from using AI. If anyone's got anything in there, or if you're not using it at all, like what's your number one question about using AI?
Yeah.
So drop it in the comment section.
You mentioned Notebook LM.
Yes.
I just took a deep dive on it with some of our title companies. My brother Andrew and Andrew does a great training on Notebook, and Notebook has come out with so much, really built for, I believe, built for educators, not necessarily marketers. And think about it though, in real estate, the number one skill, I think the number one skill set of the highest paid real estate agents, it comes down to who educates better. And so Notebook LM was built for educators. It's a free tool. in the using Google Chrome browser. And so check it out. But if you do want a deeper dive on it, we do have some recorded materials and trainings. Mike and I are probably going to end up doing one on our show. So get subscribed to the podcast, follow along for our weekly drips. Mike, I'm going to drop, I had my team drop another question there. I would love to pull up on the screen if you see it come through.
I do.
But this one we get asked all the time. In fact, we just did a time management seminar. And I like to, it's always not, for me, it's not time management. It's more priority management. And then behavior management. I think priority and behavior, if you get those two things, then time isn't the issue. Because when people say, I don't have time, or I don't have time. So, well, I didn't make time. I didn't make time. So, babe, we don't go on dates anymore. Honey, I don't have the time. What you just said is I didn't make the time for you. So, So, and Mike, you've been married a long time.
Let's go even deeper.
You know how to make time.
Well, it's not. It's
the important things.
You're saying it's not a priority,
right?
That's. I mean, saying I don't have time for it, saying it's not a priority to me right now. So when you then say my wife or my spouse says we're not going on dates anymore, you look and say, if you have to say that's not a priority to me anymore, it's like, maybe my priorities are out of order a little bit. And I love what you just talked about talking about priority and behavior, right? So when I teach this part, I break it down into 4 things just like we just talked about 4 things. But it starts with us identifying the correct behaviors. So when I'm training other agents right now, one of the things I talk about is like, hey, I need to know if you were to replace yourself in your position at work, right? Because we're all business owners and we're also there are employees at the same time. And what are those key essential things that you would put in the job description for the person that you're going to hire to replace you that have got to be done? And this is how you would judge their performance. And so people would say, lead generation, blah, 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 whatever they would come down. And I would limit them also. I'd say you can only have 3 to 5. You have to have at least 3, but you can't have more than 5. This is what has to happen in this job description. This is how if the person does these 3 to 5 things, they're a great employee. And then I just ask them once they come up with it, I just say, hey, are you someone that you would hire? Should you fire yourself? Or based on how well you're doing these things? Are you the employee of the month? What needs to happen for you to be your employee of the month?
Wow.
So that identifies what we call the task. So I differentiate between tactics, tasks, to-dos, and then appointments. Okay. And so if I can go through this one at a time.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting a little long-winded, just butt in on me, Tim. But a tactic is something I have my baseline task that doesn't change. This has to happen all year long, but I'm going to operate in short cycle periods where I've got a very intentional focus or goal that I'm trying to have, maybe a quantum leap, or maybe there's something that's got to be fixed right away. And I've got to have some attention there. So my tasks are constant, but then I've got some tactics that are specific to that initiative.
Yep.
So, but the bottom line is I determined my tactics and I said, it's important to achieving this goal. I've determined my task because I said it's essential to my job.
Yep.
Where do the balloons come from? What did I do? I guess I got some like little. Do I do a little heart thing? Or
yeah,
I mean, there it is,
dude. There you go.
So do the thumbs up. Let's see if that one goes. That one didn't work. But so I've determined that, and then I've predetermined my appointment slots, because when someone calls and says, "Hey, I'd like to see a house," or "Can we talk about listing my house?" I can say, "Great, this is what I have available." Yep. I'm not at their whim. I can kind of control that, and so But here's the important thing about the appointment slots. I've predetermined slots in my day for me to say yes to something. And I need to know that every single time I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. And that yes better come with, we say it in we say if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, right? It's got to be a hell yes or it's a hell no. And then finally, the to-dos are the last thing, because that's something that everyone else is putting on your plate.
Right.
And not saying some of it's not important. Some of it is important.
Right.
but it's probably not. You got to keep your stuff as a priority.
Yep.
Scheduling time to do these to-dos. And then with the to-dos, we're like, you either do it, delete it, delegate it, defer it, or deflect it. That's it.
Yeah. That's powerful stuff. And I think it operates from a mindset of urgent and important versus urgent or versus non-urgent and important. So, the question we get out,
Stephen Covey on
everything feels urgent, right? So it's the urgent and important stuff that's always going to bubble up to the top. Listen, if I email Mike and I don't hear back from Mike and it's important, I'm going to email Mike again, or I'm going to call Mike again. The urgent, important stuff is always landing at the top. The problem is the non-urgent, important stuff. It's important. It's the quantum leap. It's the tactic. It's the thing you need to install. It's the thing you keep saying, if I could just do that, it'll free some time up, or it'll take care of this. It's the task I keep doing, and the task is taking me 20 minutes as opposed to 5, but I haven't stopped long enough to insert the tactic so that the task now takes me 5 every time as opposed to 20. And I just won't slow down long enough. I won't force myself to stop because, again, urgent and important. So the urgent, non-important, what I like to say is, how do you start your day? For me, a lot of this, our sales proactivity, like your customer, by the way, your customer who hasn't bought from you yet is called a prospective customer. But I like to look at them as customers who are absolutely planning to buy from me. And I have a obligation to educate them, to communicate with them, to stay proactive with them, not, pushy, not overly, spamming their inbox 20 times a week. None of that. I'm talking about healthy. Go back and watch our podcast we just dropped, Empathy as a Service. Look at that. And especially around the holidays right now, it's a great podcast, Empathy as a Service, and how you can touch your database and treat them as your best clients, even before they're clients. Okay. But how do you do that? When you open up your inbox and there's issues, you start with that. So here's where I would go with a lot of people. If I could just insert a little bit more proactive sales touches in my day, I'm like, okay,
then do it.
If you could just insert them in your day, will never happen. If you could start with them, start your day with them. If you make sure that the first hour is 1, the whole rest of the day could run away on you. And you'll get to the end of the day saying, I planted some seeds today. I actually took actions. And sometimes, Mike, I'm thinking we get into this, like, I need 3 hours to do my sales touch. You actually probably only need 10 minutes. Okay, here's another psychological shift. How do I manage my time when everything feels urgent and nothing feels organized? Okay, if you got some really, really bad news right now, like family member just taken to the hospital by ambulance, you would literally jump off this live right away, jump off. Mike and Tim, see you later. I'm gone. You get there and say that you spent the entire day there with them because that's the thing to do. That's the human thing. What would you do for anything else important in your life? You text, boom, you'd call somebody, you're just firing stuff off. Why? Because you are in everything else is clear. You know your priority. I think that's how we don't operate most days. We come to the day and it's like the most urgent, important thing is building my business. And so everything else, like boom, 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 nope, focus, get the thing done. And then you engage with all the clutter in the inbox or all of this stuff that doesn't at the end of the day really matter. Some of us are cleaning up our desks and cleaning up our inboxes to keep everything tidy, and it's not generating business. You know what I mean? So
100%. But I also think that the nature of our business is that we get these notifications, these emails. By the way, one of the things I do, I turn my notifications off. So I for the longest time, right now my email app is on my phone, but for the longest time I didn't have my email app on my phone because I wanted to be intentional about when I'm checking my email, right? I will have 3 blocks when I'm humming. I will have 3 blocks throughout my day when I check my email, check all my other messages, right? But I'm not going to get notified about when they come in, because what happens is we get caught in this trap of someone needs us. We want to feel needed. We respond and we get it done. And it doesn't necessarily put money in the bank, but we were able to get a little dopamine hit, right? And so really that everything feels urgent is nothing but just really being a drug addict, right? And you just have to have that kind of discipline around, like, get addicted to actually seeing your business grow and having success. Not
powerful.
not the addiction to just like, I got notified someone needs me, I'm going to deliver right now and right here for them, right? Don't let your value be tied to your availability. Don't be on demand, become in demand.
Dude, that's powerful. I heard a quote that said, if everything is instant, it's not urgent. It's not actually urgent. It's actually addiction. And I think you just said it. You're a drug addict if everything feels urgent. We allow everything to feel urgent. And I do believe we live in an instant gratification society. It doesn't mean that everybody wants to be instantly gratified. So what I mean by that is, while you can go buy it now and have it tomorrow, or have it delivered in a couple of hours via Amazon, buy it now. You could bypass your cart now, just buy it now, right? It's like all of it. And now they have the little add to your order button, like, because as if the 13 items in my cart that I just bought weren't enough. Oh, I was looking at one more thing on Amazon. It's like, oh, you can add this to the order you just made. It's like, add to your order. Anyway, we hear microwave, we hear instant, we're an instant gratification society. I don't believe that that's how everybody wants to be. Yes, we can be, but when you articulate your value and describe the experience working with you, and your process, and you obsess about them, your customer, and their success, and you're all into them. And by the way, you've put your phone down and you're like listening actually, and just listening for the next thing they say, and like, how do I want to unpack that and go deeper? How do I want to learn more about them and what they're saying? Like, you're all in. That's an experience. And, people will wait years for an experience that they deem valuable enough. Like right now, Mike, my family and I are waiting on the edge of our seat for season 6 of The Chosen to release. And every live stream they do, we're like tuning in. And everyone always jokes about the director, Dallas Jenkins. Everyone jokes like, he rambles, he talks, and he goes on, and he sings the little tune for their like thechosengifts.com, like where their swag can be found and stuff. And everyone laughs, but everyone loves him because he has this essence and this passion and this energy around the show they're producing. But you should see the hundreds of thousands of people tuning in for these live streams. And it's like, we're all waiting with bated breath. But he's creating something so unique and so valuable, and creating this, and not just him, his whole team, creating this beautiful community around this thing. And I argue when I teach, I'm like, people don't have attention span issues. The attention span's worse than a goldfish. Now, I think it's the span that people allow you to get their attention is less than a goldfish. But once you have their attention, and by the way, it's not about talk. It's not. Spoiler alert, it's not talk about us. It's talk about them in the first 3 seconds. But anyway, once you have their attention, there's no problem. Like, all of us binge something. All of us binge on something. Yeah. So all of us are willing to devote our time and attention to something. So again, when it comes to our time and time management, people are not emailing you and needing, often, I would say, dare say 95% of the emails and texts and calls do not need an immediate response.
All right, I'm going to shift this a little bit. And since you came with The Chosen, I want to take it to the season we're in right now. And I'm going to use a religious analogy. So Tim and I are both very religious. But at the same time, there's a very practical application. So if you're not a religious person, we invite you to be. But if you're not a religious person, we still love you.
Yeah.
But don't let the religious blanket get lost on the message in the lesson here. We're in the season of Advent. Advent itself is preparation. And in my faith, I'm Catholic, and so we do these Advent wreaths, and there's 4 candles, and they all represent different things. And I think when you talk about preparing, the themes of these candles are really important. There's hope is the first candle. There's peace, there's joy, and there's love. Right? So as I'm preparing my business for 2026, do I have hope? Like, where's my mindset going into the year? Where am I really thinking that I'm going to have some major breakthroughs? The apathy in the real estate businesses, and I'm sure in the title and lending, is so, like, we've had 3 years where people have been asking me at all these Christmas parties, like, how's the market? It's like, our prices are still going up, or housing, so we're still got a shortage, but to the real estate professionals, like, that can happen. But when we're at 3 straight years of extremely low number of transactions, like, that weighs on us, right? So we're kind of a little beat up. So, like, where are you finding hope right now? So, and then Tim, is there any place right now where you're finding hope?
Yeah, I love that you brought this in, and I think it was a business mentor of mine a long time ago. He said, "Hope isn't a strategy.
Right,
hope isn't a strategy." And he was always kind of always downgraded hope. When my wife got cancer, and then had her recurrence with cancer, and now she's 4 years in remission, and we're just so grateful. She wrote the book Fighting for Joy, and I know we'll talk about joy in a second, but she said one of the biggest things that you can deliver somebody who's fighting through a diagnosis is hope. You could deliver hope to them, and her book, really, when we send it out to people, I believe it delivers hope. It's somebody else made it through, and so can I. So where I'm finding hope is, the perspective, surrounding myself with people who have good perspective in your business, in your real estate practice. Like, who's in your corner? Who are the believers? Like, when all hope feels lost, that one person can stand up and say, guys, this is the way, this is how to think about this. And then you walk away feeling inspired. You're like, you know what, we're going to make it there. Look for the people in your life who believe that we're going to make it. There's and surround yourself with people who inspire hope. Here's the other piece I like to think about, though. Am I delivering hope? Because I'll tell you, when you deliver hope to somebody, you can't help but get some of it yourself. So with your clients, past clients, with your potential clients, how are you delivering hope? How are you sharing that we all can come together and make this better? Like, it's our industry right now is tough. It is tough. And I'm not going to put my hope in the Fed and cutting rates and outside of my control. It's not about being a control freak, but it is about saying, like, I could either wait on somebody, or I can go touch my clients right now, or just call somebody right now, or enroll in maybe some learning, some training, get better, retool right now. So my hope is, I've invested a lot of time right now digging deeper, building better systems. And so when things do turn around, when the markets are down, we're going to be worrying. And so hope is a terrible strategy, but it is a wonderful virtue. And I think, are you virtuous? Are you giving hope out today?
Well, and then, of course, in Shawshank, going back to the Shawshank, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and a good thing never dies. Brian Buffini just, and what I just saw him in his bold predictions, talked about hope being a confident expectation, right?
Boom.
And we have to have that mindset of a confident expectation and take control of where we are. Now, here's the reality. Yes, the number of transactions has been extremely low, and it's been extremely low for 3 straight years, and it's almost been flat for 3 straight years. Like, we know the pent-up demand is there, and it's going to be coming. I have hope in the pent-up demand of people wanting to start to move and putting their houses on the market, especially people who have been holding on to a house that probably doesn't fit their lifestyle. Like, I have hope that those are going to come on the market, and that is going to break. It's got, like, statistically, it's going to break.
Yep.
I have hope that we're going to see somewhere between 8 to 15% more transactions in 2026 than we did in 2025. I have hope that part of what's going to happen is that we're seeing a cleansing of maybe some of the dead weight in the real estate industry when it's not as easy as what we thought it was going to be. And we're going to lose some of the people that are less than professional in the business.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the hope is there, but the reality of it is that you got to know that I don't need all, in my market, we're going to be somewhere like around 14,500 transactions, right? Which is actually 29,000 transaction sides. I don't need all 29,000, right? But if I'm an agent, are the 20 that I'm looking for there? Are the 50 that I'm looking for there? Where are those? Where are my 20 or my 50 or my 60, whatever your number is? Where is it in that 29,000? Who are those people that are moving? How do I adjust so that I'm not just going to be fluctuating? When it's a hot market, I'm hot. When it's a dull market, I'm down. Like, where do I find the people that I need to serve? And then how do I tailor my message so that I become their best option? And so that's where the hope to be really comes into play.
It's powerful. All right. I think one last thing is, what are you hoping in? Because you said confident expectation. What are you hoping in? That's what
Brian Buffini said. I want to make sure.
Yep. Well, I love that. Brian's incredible. So what are you hoping in? And this just takes me back to why it's so important to invest in your spirit and invest in your mind and invest in the truth, because there are truths that last millennia. There are truth lasts. And so, while AI and tech and everything changes rapidly, what isn't going to change? In fact, Jeff Bezos, he said, he gets asked this question all the time. He says, business people ask me all the time, Jeff, what's going to change in the next 10 years? He says, the better question, and the one I rarely get asked, is what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And if you want to hope in something, hope in truth. And here's the truth about it. People will forget what you did. People will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's been a truth for thousands of years. And then just base it on, Mike, when I was flunking in English, my mom wrote me a note. She wrote me a note in my English book. She could have taken me and scolded me. She could have beat me upside down. And I got beat a lot growing up. But she could have done it. She could have really, I was really just checked out. I couldn't get English. I checked out. And I'll never forget, she wrote this proverb on a little piece of paper. I still have the piece of paper to this day. And it said that, Tim, I've been praying for you to do better in your schoolwork. And it said Proverbs, and I forget the 24 something. But she said, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. But he who's like sluggardly in business will be in poverty, or whatever. And I never forgot, the hand of the diligent will bear rule, the hand of the diligent. And then there's another one that says the diligent person will stand before kings. Like, you'll get invited to the party, the hand of the diligent. So every time, and then whatever your hand finds to do with all your might. Those are truths in my mind. So no matter where I'm at today, do I have a database? Have I really applied diligence to my database? Have I really dug in to learn my craft? Am I really obsessing about the process, about adding value? Those are truth. And you know what hope is? Hope is when you go to bed at night, did I do everything in my power, or did I just get on this distraction train, jump onto every little thing that comes, dangling by, saying this is going to, and right now, if you're in real estate, everybody in the brother's marketing to you. This easy button will generate leads. This will do this. Get in this agreement. You need to do this. You go out to these conferences. You have to do this. You're leaving money on the table. You know what? If it's money that's driving you, you're probably chasing the wrong algorithm. But if it's relationships and adding value and changing people's lives, that's a great strategy, and you're going to have hope. You're going to naturally have hope, because there are other humans that are going to breathe hope into you because you brought value to them and obsessed about their lives. So I think that's hope. Yeah, that's a confident expectation. So hope and truth.
Let me just kind of visualize a little bit what you just said.
Yeah.
Hope is the farmer planting the seeds, intentionally planting the seeds in good soil and watering and fertilizing that soil. And the hope is in that harvest that's going to come later.
Yeah.
We're investing in relationships. We're investing in people. And let me tell you where else you can find hope. Tech has been trying to, ever since I got in real estate in 2006, billions and billions of dollars have been thrown at tech trying to replace the real estate agents. We don't die. Like we are like, there's hope in the fact that of our industry's resilience despite itself sometimes, of being able to be necessary in the process because of what we're talking about. Like the relationship side of it is so critical when someone is making their largest financial investment. They're making one of the most important personal decisions.
Yep.
And they're doing it at a time when they're extremely stressed. They have to have hope that they have got the right person guiding them towards the result that they want at the end, and that they've got a trusted advisor that's going to be there for the rest of their life.
Powerful.
All right, let's talk about peace.
Yeah.
Because I think this plays with what you were also just talking about, because listen, there's a lot of people right now might be feeling not so peaceful, right? There's not a lot of money in their bank account. There's a lot of stress and worry. They're not sure where their next deal is coming from. The piece of thinking that AI is going to take over, and maybe they're not going to be as useful. When I say the word peace and how it applies to the real estate professional's business, what gives you peace, Tim? What would give you peace?
Yeah, number one, first thing that just stuck out in my mind, gut reaction, is peace comes from when I'm not overextended. That one just stuck out to me. It's not, if you're on here, you're like a theologian, you're like, oh man, you missed your shot. Okay, I get it. I get the Prince of Peace and Advent and everything else. But when I think about business and when I think about peace, it's where I've been true to my word, true to my process, and haven't overextended myself. Because I will tell you, where I start getting stressed and my wife's like, hey honey, like you feel like you're a little like, drawn back, pulled away. Like, what's wrong? Did I do something? Are the kids, what's going on? It's usually where I've overextended myself. I've not had good boundaries. And so in my business, like in December, as the holidays are here, when I drive to Tennessee to be with family, what's going to make that drive peaceful? It's going to be holiday music cranking. It's going to be laughing. It's going to take my hands off the steering. No, I'm not. But no, I probably will.
If you have a Tesla, you're good.
And, I'll do something, and the kids will start laughing because they're like, okay, daddy's not on it. Okay, we're all good. And, peace is interesting. Peace is felt when you first walk in a room. And I think that
because there's confidence that goes with peace, right?
There's confidence that goes with it. You're doing the things that you're supposed to do. You have good boundaries in place. And you know what? When somebody says, dude, you got to check this out. You got to do this, man. You're going to miss out. Or that MLM person in your life who's like, oh, you're going to miss billions of dollars because you got to get on the front end of this thing, man. And they call you up. You're like, hey, good for you. I love you. I'm at peace. I'm not letting you in. Like, you know what I mean? So
peace in your strategy. I love that. Yeah. Because what I just heard there too was that fact that, in real estate and specifically, you're like, oh, I've got to be really good at social media. I got to be really good at this. I got to be really, no, you don't. Like, pick 2 or 3 things that you're going to be really good at. Yes. Don't try to be really good at everything. Don't try to be on every social platform. And so going back to the farmer analogy, like the farmer knows the field, that's the boundaries, right? He knows where that's going to happen. He's not just randomly scattering seeds all over, because he's got his boundaries and he knows where it's all going to be, and he knows where he lives, and he's got the discipline of the routine. And so as a former basketball coach, as soon as I hear the word peace, I start thinking immediately of John Wooden. And John Wooden's definition of success actually is a definition of peace, because he says peace of mind, which is a direct result of the self-satisfaction and knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming.
Yeah.
Right. What's inside your capabilities? Are you putting those boundaries in? I didn't even think about peace, the tie between peace and boundaries, but you're so right. Like when we know those boundaries that serve us well, and we're operating within those boundaries, it allows us actually to think, to open up some very creative solutions but we can still stay in our boundaries. It's a great foundation.
You think about countries, right? Countries with no boundaries, no borders, no sovereignty. I mean, there's no peace. They just get run over, run through, spoiled, pillaged, and there's no peace. So to know your boundaries, to know your worth, to become sovereign. Yeah, I love that you said the farmer knows the field, because there you go. There's boundaries again. You know the field. The person who wants you to think you need social media is Mark Zuckerberg. So it's like, we are very marketed to. I think zooming out a little bit, here we are, Advent, and we're talking about, the holidays, and then think about the hustle and the bustle of them. And I'm not saying that some of that isn't good. I think spoiling our kids and loving on our customers, and there's naturally going to be some hustle and bustle about delivering gifts and all that. You know what? And if that means sacrifice, like, let's think about Advent, what that is, the most massive sacrifice of all. So I'm not about like, just check out and just be at Zen, peace, don't do any activity. Activity or the absence of activity does not equal peace, because I know some people who are very sit on their duff and at no peace in their heart. So but here's the deal: instead of hustling and bustling around, and feeling like you have to do it all, zoom out a little bit to say, who's telling you that? Is it your heart? Is it your field? Is it your boundary? And that in this boundary, I'm going to make all of this stuff happen for my kids and family. And yes, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit to do that. Then good. But if it's like, I got to have that thing, or I saw this commercial, or we are very commercial. We are a very commercialized society. So in your real estate practice, not just for December and Advent, but even into the new year, really think about, do I really need that?
Mm-hmm.
Do I really need that? In fact, it's better to start with no, I don't need that. And then let it bubble back up. And then a good friend and mentor say, yeah, you need that. And then somebody else. And then once you have enough data on the board, it's like, okay, now I'm going to get that, as opposed to impulse. Because impulse does not bring peace, or, in jumping on everything that creates, again, overextending. But yeah, boundaries and peace, I believe, are,
super good. And I'll tell you what, when you just said about, lack of action doesn't create peace, it made me think about the relationship between peace and hope again. And then I heard this last week I was with Ken Coleman and Nido Qubein, and they were talking about how self-doubt only occurs with people who are actually moving forward. Like, the person who's staying still and not taking action won't have any self-doubt, right? But the person who's actually taking action, the farmer who's planting their seeds and they're hoping for the harvest, but there's always some doubt, like the drought comes in or the weather affects, is this going to happen? Like, but it's because you're taking action and you want to see the payoff. That's where that self-doubt is coming from. So if you have self-doubt, take that as a symbol that you're actually maybe doing the right things.
It's powerful.
And not. So let's go into joy. Okay.
All right.
Joy is one of the core values of my company. And joy is the one of my core values actually that I love the most, because the way that I define joy for our company's core value is that joy is knowing that you were born with certain gifts to share and serve others with. So joy comes from sharing those gifts that you were born with the people who not only need them, but are also open to receiving them. And that to me is like, we've all done it. We've all been doing something, and we look up and we think it's only been 20 minutes and it's actually been 2 hours, but because we're in our element, we're honoring our true authentic self and our gifts by sharing those gifts or utilizing those gifts to their highest abilities. When I say joy to you, Tim, what comes to mind?
Dude, I love that you said getting to know your gifts, because the first thing I was going to landed in my brain, I was like, wow, how do you define it as your core value? Joy is an identity thing. You think about some of the most joyful kids, and they look at, the statistics and whatnot. They have the blessing of a parent. They have the blessing. And what I mean by blessing is, They feel like they have a belonging. They feel like they have this sense of purpose. They are valued for what they bring. They're not just like dad. They're not just like mom. They're just like them. And they have a sense of awareness and belonging. Those are the most joyful kids. They have an identity. They don't have an identity crisis. And I think in our business, sometimes our businesses, we struggle to find the joy in it because we have an identity crisis. We don't know who we are. We don't know our brand voice. In business, I feel like it personally, as a real estate agent, you are the business, right? And so do you have an identity crisis as a real estate agent? Do you not know your voice? Do you not, and I think sometimes joy is harder to find when you're starting out. That's why I think a mastermind is powerful. Somebody who can be a mirror for you and tell you what you bring. I will tell you, some of the best people in my life early on, Mike, were the people who told me what I brought to the table, because I did not know. I did not have the blessing of a father in my life. I was a very non-joyful person. I was a very angry person when I left home. And a lot of pent up stuff. To find true joy means you have found a place of belonging, knowing how you serve. And you have people that you trust that call that out and show you and mirror it. So, again, Advent time for our kids. How can we deliver joy at home? Tell them who they are. Advent, what is that? That is heaven telling us who we are. We're loved. I'm here with you, Emmanuel. I'm here with you. That's how much I value you. So I feel like joy in how it applies to business and is like, here's who I am and here's who you are and here's how we belong together. It's this sense of this belonging, and you have a confidence in knowing what you bring to that. And it also lets you chill out, because I think we have a lot of ego in this industry. It allows you to chill out and not have to be everything to everybody and not have to overcompensate when you're in a room of smarter people than you. You can actually say, I'm here to learn. I'm a student today. I know exactly how I belong. So joy is, yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And, and we're in a world though, where we're not looking for joy. We're constantly chasing pleasure. Right. And this is where
we think it's going to equal joy,
where we think it is. And really every single thing that brings you pleasure, that short-term external sensory stimulus, right, that fades, and you go chase it again and again, breeds a very bad habit. Pleasure, everything that you find pleasure in eventually leads to an unhealthy obsession with chasing that pleasure that delivers a bad habit.
Yeah.
Right. When you talk about the difference between pleasure and happiness and joy, and I think they are in that order, you're shifting from external to internal along the way, and there's a contentment and and confidence that occurs as you go further and further, because there's this self-awareness of who you are and what makes you special and where and how you show up.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay, we got time for the last one, and this will be perfectly ending our hour. The last candle in the Advent wreath is love. The love candle. And number one, you got to Brian Buffini also says that you got to have this ism to be successful. I am sold myself, right? You better love who you are in business and how you show up for your client. And I always think about it in terms of, like, when I'm thinking about, am I going to try this marketing perspective or do this out here? If I was on the other end, would I want to be marketed to that way? Right. Like, am I so confident in how I'm showing up that I love myself as a business person, myself as a trusted advisor to that person across the way? And with that love comes the idea, and this is where, if you've listened to our show at all yet, that I am a huge fan, and so is Tim, of Bob Burg's book, The Go-Giver.
Yeah.
And so much of this is really rooted in love. Am I giving more in value than I'm taking in payment? Right. I'm doing that, by the way, because if I give more in value than I take in payment, that the hope of the referrals, and I'm loving on people for the the future relationships and to see how this whole kind of thing blossoms, right? Am I putting that compensation and understanding that the law of compensation will state that it's directly tied to how well I serve others? Am I understanding that I'm not trying to be an influencer, I'm trying to be a person of influence, and that person of influence means I'm putting the needs of that person before my own. I'm not coming into a transaction with commission breath. I'm coming at it to make sure that the person I'm working with it gets put in the exact situation that they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's the authenticity law, right? I'm showing up as my authentic self because I love myself and I know what I have to offer. And at the end of the day, I love myself to be open to not put up the walls and be open to receiving other people's kindness towards me. And, in our world, we're hoping that is in the world of repeat business and referral business. That's it for me. That's where, that's how I learned love from not only a Jewish man named Jesus, but a Jewish man named Bob Berg.
That's awesome. Mike, it's a perfect ending to this show, as only a few short months ago we stood on the same stage, and then I had quoted Bob in my presentation. You came up afterwards. It's like, hey, you've ever met Bob? I'm like, no. You're like, I'm good friends with him. Let me text and loop us all in. And you did that. And what a gift to me you gave in that. And again, an extension of love. I think love for me, when it comes to business, Mike, before the show this morning, you asked me, you said, are you having fun? Like, are you enjoying doing this show? And and I told you, I said, I'm having the time of my life, man. I'm like learning every conversation you and I start. Like, we end up learning things from each other, and it just goes to beautiful places. And I'm like, but here's the thing. Love, to me, again, is a verb. Love is a verb. Love is action. Love take. So if we said hope was a confident expectation in the seeds, like hope is like the farmer planting the seeds, because at some point you are giving up control. You are putting the seed into soil. You are believing the science behind it and the aspect of, I'm going to water it, I'm going to plant it, but God has to give the increase. He has to send the sun up and keep this thing going around and around. It is actually surrender, right? But we said hope is the seed in the field, or the seed, and then we said peace was
the boundaries, the field.
No, the boundary. The peace comes with knowing your field, and then joy comes knowing your place in the field. And then I feel like love is like sharing what happens in the field. So it's like the bounty of the field. So it's just the beautiful analogy of that, as the harvest comes. And what does it say? There's going to be enough for the farmer and more to share. Enough to get there will be. And what was like the whole like law of Jubilee was like, leave some of the excess on the boundaries so that the people who didn't have could come, and you're going to sell some to market. You're going to have plenty for your family, and there's going to be leftover. This is what I believe we sometimes lose sight of, and it's what Simon Sinek says, start with why, is why do we do what we do? Why do you want freedom? Why do you want to make more money? If your why goes and gets really, really big because there's some organization you want to bless, there's some charity you want to start, there's some family member you want to set on a better trajectory, there's maybe you didn't get to go to college, but you want your kids to be able to go to college and have that experience to be able to, get a job that, do things that you weren't able to. Like, what is your why? If it has others tied to it, and there's something about making it better than the way you found it, you came into this life with maybe not as much, but you're going to leave it better for the person, or pass generational wealth down to your kids because you didn't get that. Like, I'm a first generation home owner in our family, and I want to be able to set my kids up for success so they have more options. I believe that's love, because when it gets tough, you're like, this is why I'm doing it. So I have more to share. So for me, that's love, but also being able to receive love. Because sometimes if we didn't grow up receiving love or knowing how to receive love, that's hard. And Advent, I believe, is about receiving love. like, are you putting yourself in? Are you preparing your heart to receive love? Because I think that's where the spiritual side for me comes in, Mike, that I am loved by a Father in heaven. And that's hard for me to accept when I didn't have that in the physical realm. You know what I mean?
Well,
so yeah, I know you do. I feel it. Hey, yeah, I mean, you gave me a sticker, man. Like, how about change the algorithm, guys? I mean,
listen, he also got a full Yeti. I just want to make sure that, just don't let him. All right.
Yes, I did.
All right. The, it's beautiful stuff right there, man. Exactly right. And it just reminds me that we are here to share our bounty and to spread that love. And as tough as it might have been for you, if we go back and we think of that whole part of Galatians, and you're a Protestant, so you know the Bible better than I do. We do reap what we sow, and the harvest is coming as long as we don't grow weary in doing good and we don't give up. And just know that you are needed. Your clients need you to love on them, and if you're a title or a lender, your agents need you to love on them. Like we are all held up by one another's love.
Yeah.
And when we don't have that love, the isolation comes in. And just like you said, it cannot be just about the money. This business is not fruitful enough if you're focused just on the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're fruitful, if you know that why, and Andy Andrews talks about getting to the bottom of the pool with that why, like, keep on asking yourself, why do I want the freedom? Why do I want the autonomy? Why? And keep asking yourself that question, why, until you get an emotional response in your stomach, and lead with that, and know that is what you're working towards. And you've got a whole lot of people. There are plenty of people around you that can support you and make that happen while you're also doing the same for them. And it's not about keeping score. It's just about helping one another.
Yeah.
I love it.
Powerful. Mike, this has been great. Guys, thanks for joining us this morning, and share this one out, and tune in next week. We'll be dropping another episode, but January 10th, we go live again. So mark your calendars.
Saturday morning cartoons. Let's do this. I love it. All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. The Trust Factor podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. You can even watch us on YouTube.
And subscribe to the channel so you can comment and drop your questions and share it with your team.